Metal Wolf Chaos is a 2004 game which only ever released in Japan. Developed by FromSoftware, now famous for Dark Souls and Bloodborne, it blends the concepts behind the studio's popular Armored Core franchise with an over-the-top American patriot theme, and was designed to endear the original Xbox to Japanese gamers. Now, American indie label Devolver Digital is working with From to bring it back, and I'm glad they are because it's completely insane in the best way. It looks and sounds like a 2004 game, aside from running in widescreen and at 4K, with the developers keen to preserve as much of the original work as possible. The shooting is good dumb fun, with a good diversity of loadouts, but the real highlight is the hilarious premise: the vice president, also in a mech, has staged a coup and the president is out to save America single-handed, and the amazingly cheesy dialogue, which was all recorded in English for the original game. In an air-conditioned caravan somewhere near E3, I ask Zach Huntley, founder of Kakahashi Games, which is also working on the revival, whether the game is set mostly in Washington or if it's more of a globe-spanning romp. It mostly takes place at iconic landmarks around the United States. You know, postcards, he replies, but a second later he corrects himself. Oh, they do go to outer space. Tunic. At first glance, Tunic is an adorable homage to The Legend of Zelda, complete with sword, shield and a fox in a familiar green outfit, but there's also something else going on. The monsters, items and cuttable grass are all there, but then there's the fact that none of the in-game text is readable. The dynamic between the fox and enemy creatures seems weirdly ambiguous, and there's an overall strange otherness to some of the surroundings. Played a lot of games at E3, but this is the one I keep thinking about. It's a gorgeous take on a well-known design, but I can't help feeling it's going to be enjoyably subversive too. Most of the game, everything except the music and sound design, is the work of one person, Canadian Andrew Sholdis. At Microsoft Theater across the road from E3, he tells me he wants to get away from that fairy Zelda feeling that a game's world has been designed specifically for the hero to solve. Tunic's world is meant to feel like it's not made for you, he says. There are health upgrades and all kinds of items that will help you in combat and exploration, but you'll have to work them out on your own, if you find them at all. Sholdis recalls a feeling from when he was 4 years old, leafing through the instruction manuals of strange and wonderful video games without the ability to read, and says he wants Tunic to invoke that. Someone who also remembers the exciting, transgressive feeling of playing games I just wasn't equipped to understand yet. This is a very interesting prospect if Tunic can pull it off. In a cute touch, some of the secret hidden treasure chests in Tunic actually contain hand-drawn pages from the game's own manual, which will give you ideas about how the world and mechanics work. You may have to think laterally to sort out what the pages mean though, since they're written in that same undecipherable glyph language. In a combat sense, you can expect a much more tactical, difficult time than your standard Zelda, with many abilities to deploy and diverse and interesting enemies to overcome, but it's the world and its secrets I'm most excited to get at. Overcooked 2 in 2016, Overcooked set a new high bar for cooperative kitchencraft by mixing the rhythmic simplicity of smartphone-style recipe games with a friendship-destroying array of complications like earthquakes and ice ages. In Ghost Town Games' upcoming sequel, My Boy Wheelchair Raccoon Chef returns, along with many new and familiar creatures and people, but a lot has changed. There's a greater diversity of stage types, aided by new mechanisms that let players control certain aspects of the kitchens, and the fact that chefs can now throw ingredients to each other over chasms or obstacles. There's a heap of new recipes, like steamed dishes, pasta and cake. But more importantly than what's been added is what remains the same. It's still hilarious, and still strikes that perfect balance where you both need your friends and can be totally screwed by them. At E3 I take on Overcooked 2 with some Nintendo reps and we absolutely blitz it, 3-starring every level in the demo using a kind of cooking-based telepathic ability the three of us spontaneously developed just for this purpose. The highlight is a kitchen set in a hot air balloon, where our troupe of chefs are busy preparing salads. Heavy winds cause some of the benches to move around, but we deftly navigate those to get our cucumbers and tomatoes chopped like clockwork. Then a lightning storm hits, our balloon catches fire and we crash to the earth. When the smoke clears, our kitchen is inside of a sushi restaurant, and now orders are coming in for both salad and sushi, and we fill those orders without missing a beat because we are professional animal chefs. But I know better than to think this all means the game will be easier than its predecessor. The genius of Overcooked is that it lets you feel like the task is totally manageable. With good communication and workflow, you can totally get an efficient kitchen going. But then a volcano erupts and puts the sink on a totally different level than the past, or all the ingredients start moving around on the world's most convoluted conveyor belt system, and your friends start making the most infuriating mistakes. I fully expect that the levels playable at E3 are just the beginning. The author traveled to California as a guest of Microsoft.